Hello, welcome to Introduction to Business. My name is Dr. George Mochocki. Today we're going to be talking about pricing, chapter 14, within a series that you're taking me for Introduction to Business, online or a face-to-face class. Okay, in conjunction with Blackboard Course Management System. So I'm going to look at pricing. You're going to be doing a feasibility study for me on pricing. What I want you to understand is you have to know how you're going to price your product. Because if you understand what price you're going to be charging and what price your competitors are charging, what prices will your customers be willing to pay, and do you have different pricing? Do you have an introduction price, a low price, a base price, and then you have for added a better, best, or greater price services? So when you're looking at pricing, pricing all depends on variable factors, depends on economic information that you've learned from other chapters, depends on the customers, the competitors, what's going on. So all this makes a big difference in pricing. So this chapter, we're just going to go a general overview of pricing. Remember, for your feasibility study, you're going to have to let me know what's your average cost for the good that you're going to be selling or service or product or business. Okay? So you're going to have two several things. You're going to have developed value. When I'm looking at a consumer, I don't mind paying more money for a product what value I get on. And the value may be like if you look at the iTablet. The iTablet value is just name recognition. Because if you look at other tablets, very similar, they're made by different companies, have the same functionality, but I'm buying it because it's an Apple iPad, which is versus in a Samsung, or I'm buying an iPhone versus a Samsung 4. All those have value. Now, a lot of the value comes with warranties and everything else, and recognition and trust that you develop within the brand name. Okay, so there's value. All right, so developing the value. So remember, when you're looking at a product and pricing, you have to see what value does it have to the consumer. Not what you think the consumer thinks the value is. What is the actual value that the consumer's perception is for your product or service? Okay, so now you have untouchables, and this is real easy. Some things never change. You know, untouchable no matter what kind of recession, cell phones, internet, discount apparel, haircuts, and fast foods are basically people usually don't cut them, even though things are hard. They go out, they may not go out to a regular full-fledged restaurant, but they'll go out to a fast food. Okay, and expendables are like satellite radio, specialty goods, high-end cosmetic. Okay, now total product offering. This is where your pricing comes in. You have to always think, not just what I made. If I'm going to tell a customer the Apple is $600 or $400, the iPad 4, you will have to, the customer or the client is buying this looking at the total value. What do I get? I get so much RAM, I get so much memory, I get so much quality, I get like FaceTime, which is Skype. If you look utilizing Samsung, because FaceTime is only for Apple users. So anyone who has an iPhone or an iTablet and it has a phone number attached to it, the newer version iPad. Ford has a phone feature attached to it, so I could get FaceTime. FaceTime means the minute I click on, I see the other person. I'm actually talking to a person live with their facial. It's like a streaming in there. So, but that's only offered to all Apple 5S users. So if you don't have a 5S or you don't have an Apple iPhone, you don't have FaceTime. You see how so it keeps it locked in, so you'll keep on buying Apple products because you like that FaceTime value. But it's all tied into the total product. Now you have to look at two things. I'm going to leave them over. Product lines are I'm a bakery. Let's go Office Max or Staples, Office Supply. Their product lines, they have a product mix. Within the product mix, there are several product lines. A product line is, if I look at it, they have a computer product line, they have a paper product line, they have a software product line, they have a printer product line. All those product lines constitute a product mix. You wouldn't go into an Office Max or Office Depot or Staples and try to buy a card unless they're giving it away, because it doesn't mix within the product. The product line it doesn't complement the rest of the product mix. So make sure you understand the difference between product line and product mix. And then you classify your customer. Industrial customers, convenience, pop machines, or when you're at the school or any place else. you pay $1.50, $2 for one pop because it's convenient. It's right there. I want it. I'm thirsty. Or for the $1.50 or $2, I can buy six waters at Aldi's or at Sam's or Costco's, but they're not cold. They're convenient. You know what I mean? So when you're looking at, I'm willing to pay more because of convenience. Shopping goods, I'm starting looking a little bit more because it's going to cost me a little bit more. Some investigating. That's why I go online to find out, make sure I get the right price. Especially good if I'm buying a fur coat, if I'm buying a Rolex watch. It's a specialty good. Especially good, already higher price, is a smaller niche market, so you could charge a little different. Unsought good, or if I'm looking like a dentist or a plumber, what do you call a dentist or a plumber? When my teeth hurts or my toilet is backed up. So if either one of those, how do I market to the individuals that are only looking for me because they're an unsought good? So just they have a different type of pricing for those because convenience I'm always using. Shopping goods I might buy several other times. Specialty goods maybe a one-time deal. Unsought goods again maybe a one-time good deal. But how do I, if I that is my service, my product, how do I price that so I get customers in? Okay. Now you have industrial goods. We already talked about the business to business. Packaging. Packaging is basically more important to the regular consumer. A consumer, the package protects it so it doesn't get broken, protects it so it doesn't get stolen from me as a retailer. It also gives me instructions, it gives me information. It's my silent salesperson. If I'm dealing to business, I don't really care about the packaging. I want to make sure it doesn't break, it gets to my establishment in one piece. So you could put as many as you want in there, as long as it's functional when I open it up. Because I'm going to take it out. I'm not going to repackage it. I'm going to put it into my components. So when iPhones or iTablets get their goods or let's say memories, everything else. They don't have to be individually packaged. They come in one big box, and as long as it's all there, and that's how they, because they're going to take it out and they're going to utilize it when in there. Remember, so the packaging, it doesn't have that much of importance to a consumer, to a business customer as it does to a retail consumer. All right, understanding branding. Now, branding, like it or not, when you're looking at branding, you are a brand. Every brand, certain brand, General Mills could charge more because it's a name brand. I could have a private label brand, which would be like a Jewel or an Osco or Dominic's, which is going out of business here, out of this area, or something else. But the brand has a name because it's got quality. I know every time I use this brand, it always has good quality product. So I'm willing to pay more for a brand name. And certain cultures are very, but if I look at the Hispanic cultures, they are very brand loyal. Americans, I get it cheaper because we look at it a little different. We're looking more at price, okay? And so you have this on branding. When you look at this knockoff brand, you got to be careful. So if you look at something that says Duracell batteries, and you go, Duracell batteries usually for two Duracell batteries will run $8, $10, okay? But if you see Duracell batteries and they're for $2, wow, that's a good deal. Look closer, because it may not be Duracell, they may say Duracell and change one letter, but everything else is the same. So we're so accustomed to looking at Duracell, their label and everything else, their color, we're just buying it and realize it's really an off-brand. It's just a real cheap, inexpensive, but they got us, all right? So we wouldn't buy that. So be very careful when you're looking at the knockoff brand. I'm not saying that they're not good, but they may not have the same quality that the brand name has. Okay, then you have brand association, equity. Okay, now if I look at product development, the first thing you're doing is idea. So most of you in my course, Introduction to Business, you already have an idea or something else that you're thinking about. Okay, so if I look at the idea, what I'm basically looking at, I got the general idea. Now I do some product screening. That's where you're at in this thing when you're doing a feasibility paper for me. You're doing a product screening. Then you're going to develop it. And then you're going to concept testing. And then you're going to commercialize it, all right? Now, when I look at the product life cycle, some of you already have the product there. You already have a business or you have something else. And all business and everything else goes with the product life cycle. Introduction, when you look at the introduction, it's low profit, low cost, but it's a little bit higher because I'm trying to recoup my research and development costs, okay? And now, so if my product and the growth, now I charge, there's more competitors coming in, so now my pricing has to drop. Now maturity, because I'm in there, already it's everyone knows my name and everything else, and I want to stimulate more sales, so I have discounts and everything else. So now I'm basically going to be discounting it. So I may be reducing my overall costs. I already made up all my research and development costs here. I'm in the growth, and now I'm in maturity. I'm stable. So customers are used to this, but I want more customers to buy, so many drop the price. Now remember, different customers will come in. When I look at introduction, you're looking at your innovator, the people who want the first Apple 5S. iPhone, the 5S. This is the most newest technology. They'll wait hours in lines or days in lines to get it to first order. But then once you get it, look, I got the first one. But after 6 months, all right, and it goes into the growth stage, competitors are coming in, more customers are coming in, so prices are dropping. Other consumers are going to wait to this growth stage, or like me, I'm going to wait at the maturity. It's stable. So let's see what kind of discounts to stimulate for me to buy it. And then once I get into decline, I have two things. Sales are dropping, profitability is dropping. I squeezed everything else I could out of this product, everything else. So now my pricing drops. Or I reinvent my product, and I'm going to add another function. Or not reinvent it. I go to a different market. I go overseas. I can sell the same product overseas at a higher cost. If you look what Apple's doing with their iPhones, they introduced on their pricing, even in the introduction, the new iPhone was like $600, but they also had one for $200. They also had one for $99, cheap plastic outside. The inside may be the same. It may not have all the functionality. It still has all the functionality, but the quality is different because they're hitting different markets. They're trying to hit the Chinese market, where the consumer, like it or not, only has so much money because of their it's a developing market, it's an emerging market. So if I look at the economic condition and what they could sell, depends on what the individual's disposable income they have. But they're also selling the $99 ones here for a lot of things where you have like the throwaway phone, not throwaway phone, but call as you need services. So, or the younger generation. So they're hitting, or different social class or economic class. So they're trying to hit all the different markets to take the same product but different qualities. All right. So when you're looking at it, it's still an Apple, still an iPhone, but the quality of the product is a little different, and you can feel it when you look at the different ones. All right. So you have to understand where do you fall in. If you're a competitor coming in with a new phone and they already have the maturity, because a lot of iPhones, you may have to fall into this pricing, not an introduction, unless you come up with a new something different. Makes your pricing different. Now, okay, so now you look at your pricing objective. You're looking at, you always want to make a profitability. So some people will just add 5%. You still have to look at what your competitor is selling and what features. So if I'm going to have this, if I'm going to compete with my competitors, I will have to have the same thing. If I want to, because if I'm looking at Burger King and McDonald's, to me, I'm looking at the same. They have a little different taste, but the pricing scheme are similar. Just got a little, one's broiled, one's, I don't know how they make it. It's probably on a regular grill. So if I'm looking at it different, but it's still the pricing are in line. Because if I'm going to spend too much for a Big Mac versus a Whopper, I'm not going to buy it. Okay? So you look at your pricing objective. Do I want to create an image? Do I want to build traffic? Now, when I'm looking at the pricing schemes, you have your market price, you have your value pricing. You see that the value price is no longer 99 cents. A lot of places are going up to $1.25. This because inflation and cost of goods are going up. You have target pricing, where the customers, cost-based pricing is going to add on it. All of these, you still have to look at what your competitors' pricing. If I'm higher than my competition, I have to make sure that I at least have something that the customer could see. Hey, why are they higher? I don't see any difference. I'm going to go back to my competitor. All right, you have to show what makes my product different. What makes me different. When you really look at the pricing, look at yourself. You're still a product. Everything you're learning here when you're going for a new job. Why would I pay you more out of college than another person? If I have a 2-year college, that means I have more skill sets than someone out of high school, so I expect a higher pricing. If I have a 4-year degree, I expect a higher pricing than someone that only has a 2-year or a high school. If I have a master, I expect a higher price. You see me? So when you're looking at the pricing, it's a different scheme. Now, skimming price, high-low prices. You have to look. Do I want to come in at a higher price, right? Because higher price will equate to quality when I'm dealing with consumers, or do I want to come at a lower price to get more customers? The thing when you come at a lower price and you add the pricing, you may have customers dropping or not going to it. So you may be, if you're looking at a quality product, you come in a higher price, but then when you go to the next chapters, when you go a promotion, you could use coupons or something to discount the price, but in their mind. If I look at high-low price, I look at Kohl's, not food, but Kohl's clothing store. Everything else in there is always suggested manufacturer's price. Always at a high price, but you always sell at the low price. Because if you wait over time, you're always going to find at a sale. So look how much I saved, all right? Or if I look at TJ Maxx, they just buy stuff that's the manufacturer produced too much, so they have overstock, so they'll sell it to TJ Maxx, or they'll sell it to Sam's Club or Costco's, and they could discount it because they make too much. But that's the high-low prices, okay? And then everyday prices, and then you have to look at the psychological price, because the psychological prices is, if I look at psychological prices, products at certain points. At what point, if I'm looking at, I'm willing to pay a certain price, but what's going to be the difference for me to go to upgrade to the next price, okay? And then you look at price leaders and demand and break-even cost. Your pricing always has to make sure that I at least break even. So if I'm working someplace, if I create a product, I have to make sure it at least breaks even for making a product, developing the product, keeping the product, whatever I need to contain this product, so I at least offset my everyday cost. Everything above my break-even points is basically profitability, except for the expense that I make. So this is a quick overview on Chapter 14, pricing, for a course you're taking me, Introduction to Business, and I'll see you online. Remember, pricing depends on the brand. Everything else from a consumer perspective, when you look at the 4 P's of marketing that we had earlier, I think it was Chapter 13, the 4 P's of pricing, right? Pricing for consumers is the first thing, because pricing tells me quality and everything else. When I look at pricing to a business to business, pricing takes a second tier. I'm looking more at quality and dependability and delivery, and then pricing comes in. It's still important, but it doesn't fall in on the top of my list. For consumer, pricing does a lot more when I'm dealing with the consumer market. Okay, so welcome to Introduction to Business, Chapter 13, Pricing, and I'll see you next for the next chapter, which is, I think is Distribution, Chapter 15. And I'll see you online or in a face-to-face class. Again, my name is Dr. George Mochocki, and welcome to Introduction to Business. We're covering just a quick overview on pricing. Utilize the book, utilize PowerPoints, and you'll do very well. This gives you a quick summary. Remember, when you're doing reading the chapters, just add in more to what I put in here. Have a nice day. Bye.